the gospel, the many are called, the few are chosen. It's an interesting passage that St. Augustine has a long commentary on. I think, as a youngster, I don't know how others hear it, but as a youngster, it did not sound good to me. If I looked at the general population and the morality of people around me, and, there were few chosen, I did not have an awfully good chance. So it was not a good thing for me. But the way St. Augustine looks at it is very interesting. He says the many that are called are the things that God considers, and the chosen are what God brings into existence. And that what God brings into existence is all called for everlasting life. But these many are called like you... I think it's one of the curiosities that we talk about why God created what he did, didn't create what he didn't. I think that I look at fascination with young people today about unicorns, for instance, and God must have thought of unicorns. If we can, one of the basic rules, he's at least as bright as we are. So he must have thought of unicorns, but for some reason, he didn't want unicorns. On the other hand, he did want mosquitoes. It just somehow doesn't make a lot of sense at times. But the fact of the matter is, when we look around, we need to understand that the many that are called are all the things that occurred to God and all the people that occurred to God. And with all the people and all the things, out of that, he chose us. And he chose us for everlasting life. He didn't choose us to come up to another process and go through choices again. He called each one of us to everlasting life. In order to enforce that, he sent his Son to die for us, so that that was absolutely and firmly established. You and I need to be able to walk the face of the earth in the confidence of a God who's called us. That's really what's going on in the very first reading. The first reading describes the first really big conqueror of history, which was Cyrus. The Jews were all prisoners in Babylon. And Cyrus rose as this conqueror, and he's taking over everything. And the Jews know he's eventually going to take over Babylon. And slaves do not do very well in a conquest. And so they're very, very concerned. But what they don't know is that Cyrus is going to take Babylon and send them back to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. And Cyrus is in fact their deliverer. That's why God gives the Jews this passage. He says, I'm the one who opens all this stuff before Cyrus. And you have to know that I have you by the hand. Everything that happens in history and everything that happens in our lives is aimed at one single thing. God knows that heaven would not be heaven for God without us. So he manipulates history and manipulates everything on the face of the earth to guarantee we will be with him forever. If you and I could ever trust that, we would have the happiest lives possible.